Thank you for having me, Amit. It's an honor to be with you today. Uh, I will tell you a little bit about what I'm doing in Africa later on, a small video at the end of my presentation. But I will start a little bit who is AGCO and give you a little bit about who we are as a company. And then I will tell you a little bit about my journey. And then I will end up tell you what I'm doing in Africa, how we are trying to change that picture you saw. But again, that is only 20% of the population. But there is 80% of the population in Africa, they have the money to buy food. And that's the ones that also need to be turned into farmers so that they can feed the remaining that 20% of the population. With that, I have a title here that says Vice President and General Manager. Actually, I was promoted yesterday. So thank you very much. And actually, this week, and I'll tell you how big is Africa in a minute. This week's actually supposed to be my honeymoon week. I got married 2 months ago. And decided to be here with you. I could not refuse the invitation from Rabobank. I know Rabobank very well. When they invited me, I have said, I will definitely come. I have never been to Australia, so I'm glad to be here. And hopefully to be back for real honeymoon next time. Thank you very much. Who is AGCO? AGCO is the third largest manufacturer, agriculture equipment and related infrastructure. We are the only pure player that wakes up every morning trying to find a solution to make farmers' life easier. Farmers want to have a simple life. But farmers, they don't expect us to come up with a magic that will fix all their problems. Farmers look at us to provide service. And that's what we are investing heavily in Africa. We have 33,000 independent dealers located in 140 countries. And our net sales last year was 7.5 million. Some of our brands, you may know them. You may have seen in your farm. You may have them. And this is the brand list of brands. Challenger, it came from the Caterpillar division. Fendt is the leading tractor in technology worldwide. It's recognized for that. And GSI is our new acquisition. So we offer grain storage. We offer protein, especially for poultry. We offer also egg systems. And recently, we also included seed company. So we will provide in Africa turnkey seed solution of packaging and processing seed. As you all probably know, Massey Ferguson, that's where I started my career 12 years ago in the UK. Massey Ferguson is the best known brand in Africa, better than Coca-Cola. So many countries, they have the Massey Ferguson tractor in their currency. I didn't bring it with me this time, but it's seen as the solution. And Valtra is our South America product, and also in Scandinavian countries where we provide forestry equipment. Our vision is high-tech solutions, professional farmers feeding the world. 5 years ago, I took this job as a Director of Operations, Africa, Middle East. And my predecessor, during the handover, explained to me, he said, no, we use Africa, low-tech solutions, provide low-tech solutions for Africa. I said, why is that? And he said, no, they cannot fix the product. They cannot serve the product. The product life cycle in Africa in a tractor on its average 8 months. Compared to that, in Brazil, 14 years, in the UK, 21 years. So I decided to do something about it. To increase the productivity, to keep the tractors up and running is important for the farmer. If the farmer makes money, we make money. So to make sure that the tractor is running more than 3 years, that's not huge, improvement requires huge investment for capacity building, which I will talk about later on. Today, if we want to feed the growing population, 60% of the world's remaining arable land is in the continent of Africa. And Africa, the video you saw, 230 million people go every night hunger to bed. So this needs to change. Africa has everything what it needs. It has the land, it has the water, it has the rain. What it needs is knowledge. And that's what we are trying to provide in the continent. I just want to show you how big is this continent. That's why I had to come during my week holiday, because my schedule is quite busy. Covering this continent, this is the true size of Africa. Imagine how often I have to travel in this continent. It's quite big continent. It's not connected. There are few hubs that you can travel. Sometimes I have to go back to Europe to go to another country, which is neighboring countries. So it's quite a challenge logistic to travel in the continent, and I'm trying to it keeps my schedule quite busy. This is what I want to share with you a little bit about what I do, who I work for, and I will come to the point how we are fixing the problem in Africa. Allow me to tell you a little bit about my background. I am from Africa by descent. I am from Somalia by birth. I'm orange by heart. So I grew up in the Netherlands, and before I went to Netherlands, I want to share with you a little bit about my story. I come from rural area between Ethiopia, the border Ethiopia and Somalia. My family is still 95% still today lives there. We were the largest camel holders in that area. So my family is focused on camel. And young age, we had the first famine I experienced. It was in the mid-70s. And during that time, my mother had to live in their neighborhood because of war. Because Ethiopian and Somali war, that was at the border. My family lived in the border. And my mother had to leave in the village to go to the capital city to find solution for the famine we were experiencing. I was at that age around three and a half, and we walked 300 kilometers to get to the capital city in Mogadishu. My mother and I arrived at the age of 4. My mother borrowed money, bought a kilo onions. So I sat next to her, selling one piece at a time. So at the age of 4, guess what was my job? I was CFO. I was CFO, counting the money and giving the money back. So this is how I learned trade at that age. During that time, 10 years later, our business was net worth $300,000. We had the largest milk, the largest egg production in the capital city. Again, another tragedy hit, another war. In 1990, 5 months before that, tragedy hit, personal tragedy, my mother passed away. 4 months later, we experienced again famine because of the war. We lost everything that we built for 10 years. During that time, I promised myself not to experience again third-time famine. So we stayed in our country for 1.5 years as a refugee in our country, moved around a bit in the country. And my family came together. I have 6 brothers and my father. They voted that I have to leave the country similar to my mother did. So I had to leave the country to go somewhere else to provide them or get them out of the country because the war still continues. Somalia, you may not know, is the only country is now recognized as a failed state. In 25 years, we have a civil war, continuously civil war. During this time, there was no infrastructure to leave the country. And we decided to go to the closest telephone line so I can make a phone call to a family relative living in the Middle East so they can transfer money to me and continue my journey to get my family out. So normally this road takes about 300 kilometer distance. But this time, because of the war, it was 600 kilometers away. No infrastructure, no buses. So I journey started on my own at the age of 15. So I started walking the 600 kilometers. I get to the point where the telephone was. I made a phone call. I received $500 2 weeks later. from relatives. From that $500, I used another $100 to go from the Ethiopian border to all the way to capital city of Kenya, Nairobi. So I arrived in Nairobi in my pocket with $400. There was a challenge. You have to change the dollar into local currency. So the local currency, the banks, central banks, exchange rate was, as you know, the third world countries, the central bank exchange rate is not the one you use. You use the black market exchange rates. So during that time, I went to the black market, tried to change, and it was difficult because the police was looking, everyone was trying to change dollars so they can confiscate and keep that money. So I found a small niche business model. I decided to speak to many of the Somali communities, ask them what do they want to do with the dollar if they change. They have told me they want to buy these products. Went to the market and talked to the Kenyans and said, if someone comes to you, will you able to accept dollars with a black market exchange rate? Yeah, the trader said, sure, if I'm getting Forex, I will accept that. So I started my own business in between, becoming a trader again, as my mother started 1 kilo onions. So I started 10% commission from those with the dollars, the one who had the goods, 10% commission. In 30 days, it became the $400, became $3,000. So I decided, what do you do with $3,000? The black market became normal. So the $3,000, what do you do? So I decided, talking to people, I need to invest this money. The only way to invest this money was to leave Africa. So I paid $3,000 someone. One day, someone knocked my door 3 days later. And 3 days later, I was on the road towards Europe. I don't know how I moved to get there, but I arrived in Netherlands at the age of 17, and someone dropped me in the Rotterdam train station. So I was standing there, very cold. As you know, yeah, I left Africa with just normal clothes. I didn't expect it would be cold, so I didn't know where I was going. So it was freezing. And so I sat there quite some time. Then applied refugee in the Netherlands. I was really lucky. I was well received, and the Netherlands government recognized me in 2 weeks as a recognized refugee status. That is where the hard work started. My job was to get out my family out of the country. So I worked very hard. I need to speed up because my time is running out. I have a video to share with you. But I had to speed up my presentation. But 10 years later, I got all of them out. So 6 of my brothers went out. Again, my father got married in the meantime. I have another 6 half-brothers and sisters. So now I decided they have to stay because I don't have the energy to work to get them out. So what do I need to do to keep them stay? So I decided to go into agriculture. This is how I get into this business. And try to write letters, companies. I got AGCO, gave me 2 weeks internship program in the UK. 2 weeks, 3 months, 11 months, permanent contract, 2007, most talented employee in the company out of 16,000. And I became a special assistant to the chairman and the president of the company, moved to US. I had a privilege to travel 5 years with him, learn about agriculture worldwide, and decided to learn a lot. And 5 years ago, he asked me to run the Africa business for AGCO. And for 5 years, I have focused, again, farmers, you as a farmer, you expect us as a service provider, input provider. There's one thing you expect from us, is service. And that's what I'm building today in Africa.